If you like to experience tube magic without spending high price, this could be the one. Hello everyone, welcome to Dabama Hi-Fi Review channel. Today I'm going to share this Boyu Sound F5 6L6 tube integrated amplifier, which featuring two 6L6 power tube, 6N1J in input stage. 6N1 is a tube type and J is quality specification. This Boyu Sound F5 retail for $299 and you get 3 watt of power output for each channel. Control is very simple: power on and off knob and volume control. 2 analog input using RCA type, and 4 ohm and 8 ohm speaker terminals are featured in the back of this F5. Based on the current price, the build quality and finishing quality, I would say just about right. Transformer casing is a metal case. These sides are aluminum, although they are on a bit on thin gauge, but is well featured full aluminum housing and chassis that feature on this F5. So 3 watt of power. This room is 26 by 16. I was listening F5 in my streaming setup, driving CSS audio to DDX towers. We sit about like 14-15 feet away from the TV and the movie watching and Netflix streaming and all that. So I was surprised how much it can put out with depth and everything combined. It doesn't disappoint in sound quality. Totally shows tube magic. I wouldn't say this F5 is better than higher priced tube amps. It may not be a giant killer, but it will get the job done in most of the living spaces as long as you don't have big space. Listening, all the dialogues and everything is properly and well produced with good clarity to it. Most impressive thing is sound staging and soundscape. That is pretty impressive. Bass quality is there. Bass is well produced, although it doesn't have driving power to deliver best bass quality out of 2 DDX towers. It may not be well defined. So that is the how you will hear when you listen with low wattage tube amplifiers in general. So when I moved to here, I started out trying with headphones. I was using speaker terminals to drive my Veron 1 planar magnetic headphones, and it sounded vivid, spacious, and dynamic sound. I think something wrong with terminal converter cable, experiencing a bit of hum, so maybe soldering joint is messed up, or I have to look it up. I stopped using it because I can hear a little bit of background hum. I switched it over to this JBL L100 Classic 75th using Belden 9497, and this one of my favorite entry-level DAC SMSL SU1 Audio Quest Diamondback RCA cable connected to this F5. I was pretty surprised how well it can deliver in sound quality. So using stock tubes, I would say smooth, mellow, and rich tonality with nice depth and skillful sound. Skillful sound meaning low bass to mid-range to high frequency extensions are well presents and nicely redeliver. I sit about 12 feet away. My head position is, so sound staging and width is, that is where you can experience tube magic regardless of the power output. 3 watts of power output totally give me enjoyable sound quality. I'm not saying it's better than this or better than that. All my comments are based on price and performance and sound quality ratio. And then I started rolling tubes with Pavane Horizon 6L6 tubes because I want to hear better clarity. Upper mid-range and lower highs to lower mids, upper bass, and those regions are kind of like a little bit too rich and congested feeling without giving me absolute clarity and definition like I'm used to. I don't expect to the absolute level, but I want slightly better clarity in there. What I can notice with Pavane Horizon 6L6 tube is frequency extensions and layerings are slightly better. More space, clarity is improved. Bass definition is a bit better than stock tubes. That is easily noticeable. So this one is $299. Pavane 6L6 Horizon tubes retail for $99 pair, I believe. So that combination gives me very much enjoyable sound quality. Streaming Tidal and listening all my favorite music and my reference track, as well as UPnP streaming from Sony Music Server with this SMS N100. Thoroughly impressed by the way that it can produce a sound, driving this 90 dB sensitive 4 ohm JBL L100 Classic 75th speakers. So sound quality, I mean, for $299, not bad at all. I can easily recommend to a friend if they are looking for affordable, good sounding entry-level tube amplifier for their system. Another thing I like about is low-level listening. Around 55 to 65 dB range or below that, I mean, it's pretty impressive in depth and that width of the soundscape that it can produce even in low level. That is a tube magic, my friend. Even that 3 watt of power output can give me that kind of convincingly enjoyable music sound. And another thing is when I pushed it, volume control at the maximum level, which can get me around 77 dB loudness average with this JBL and probably like 88 dB peaks. So that is pretty impressive. This room is 26 by 16, so about mid-sized room. Easily fill the room with very nice tube sound quality. Even when I was using Pavane Horizon 6L6 tubes, I wasn't able to bring the best sound quality out of sound signature of 6L6 tube because there's a limitation. The circuitry and capacitors and power supplies and everything, I mean, there's limitation there. Although the power supply is very nice and quiet, I don't hear any hum from the speakers. I don't notice any noise, power on and off, or volume control. I will appreciate if they can give me slightly more precise volume control. Other than that, nothing major. So most importantly, affordability and sound quality in this case, because $299 you got very decent build quality with good sounding tube amplifier. I will say in the right pairing it can deliver tube magic. If you can pair with high sensitive speaker, it will totally give you even better experience than I'm describing. So when I pushed it to the limit with this JBL, volume control at the maximum position, sound staging is still retained. Nice sound staging and depth with the average music. When I'm listening full orchestra, when everything comes in together in full symphony, this F5 will suffer. It doesn't have ability to keep up with that kind of complex music. So that is the one thing that I like to remind you. But if you love modern music or vocals or jazz or those kind of music, will be totally fine. For the speaker pairing wise, I will say minimum 88 dB sensitive speaker. That's how you should be pairing. Higher the sensitivity, this one will sound more effortless and better sound quality that it can provide. If you enjoy listening vocals or acoustics or jazz music, this F5 will suit you well. Even I was streaming modern hits and just before this review, I was listening all those Lady Gaga and Charlie XCX and everything. I was thoroughly enjoying the way it sounds, particularly the engaging and well produced, rich bass quality. Although it may not be totally revealing sound, but very much enjoyable to listen. Sound quality and price and musicality, and most importantly, how much I enjoy listening to it. BoYu Sound F5 is very good option to consider for you if you want to shop good sounding, good quality tube amplifier under $300. That is the experience that I like to share with you. Thank you for watching and happy listening.